Thanks for being on the show today. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
Yeah, so first of all, I'd just like to say, obviously, I don't know if you watched the game the other day. I know you had a little spell at Hartlepool. I know I'd like to say congratulations to them.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I was really happy. Really happy.
Yeah, it was good to see them get back in the Football League. I think they've deserved it, really. So, yeah, just like to say congratulations to them myself.
Yeah, I thought they were very good. I was really happy when they scored the first goal, and obviously, I mean, it can take a lot out of the sails.
Yeah.
Especially with a late equaliser, and then to go to penalties as well.
Yeah, penalties was nerve-wracking.
Outstanding.
Yeah, just another thing as well. Obviously, it was sad to hear of Alan Miller's passing a couple of weeks ago. I know you had a bit of a spell at Middlesbrough with him. Just wondered what you were thinking about that, really.
Obviously, it was I didn't know. It's the first
I've
heard. No.
Yeah, I seen it a couple. I think it was about 2 weeks ago, actually. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but obviously it was quite a shock to hear that, really.
Yeah. Wow. So, yeah, bit of a surprise to be honest. I hadn't heard anything at all, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's 50, 51, so it's no age at all, really.
No, not at all.
So yeah,
just because I'm 49, I'm not far behind him. Bloody hell.
Yeah, I think it was a heart attack or something, but yeah, it was a bit of a shock, really, to hear that. Yeah.
Oh, actually, no. Yeah, I did hear. Sorry. Yeah, completely forgot. Yeah. Yeah, I guess still not processed it properly, to be honest with you. I mean, I'd only seen him a few years ago, the last time I was up that way. So yeah, it's still not stuck that, anybody that you know, especially that you've played with for a few years is no longer with us. Yeah, I actually completely forgot all about it, to be honest with you. It sounded as weird as it sounds. It's just a strange feeling.
Yeah, especially as you say, he's not really, sort of age at all, really, is he? 50, 51?
No,
so
it's not something you think about. With him just no longer with us. Just weird.
Yeah, that's it. And so yeah, I'd just like to pass on my condolences to his family as well. So
definitely, 100%.
Make a point of saying that. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll get on with the main point. So first of all, I'd just like to say thanks for joining me today. And the first question I'll go on with is, what was your memories of growing up in Nottingham as a young lad? Like playing football and things like that. What's your earliest memories?
Oh, it's just just kicking around, playing on the park, really, with the friends, and just always wanting to play at the highest level possible. But mostly just my mum used to have to drag me in off the park. We used to play just with a few lads, and then by the time I'd gone in, had my dinner, come back out, it was about 25 aside on the park, no rules. Make your own rules as you play. All the things that are sort of missing from the game with the kids on the park these days. It's just it was just fun, enjoyable, and just having that kick around, and then playing a bit more structured with the local teams, and just really enjoying it. Just wanting to play as much as possible.
Yeah, I think like memories like we all have as kids, growing up and playing on the fields, jumping for a goalpost and all that carry on.
Yeah.
When it was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Back when it was fun.
Yeah, it's strange when you talk to kids. They get it. They don't understand it. They all want, the goals. They all want to play on 3Gs and all that sort of stuff. Now it was like, for me, I didn't care if it was on concrete in a car park, on 3 foot high grass, muddy pitches. It didn't matter. It was just a game of football, and it was just fun and enjoyable. And you make your own rules up, don't you? I mean, somebody has small goals, somebody has big goals. It makes no difference. Who cares? It's just that fun and enjoyment side of it, I think.
Yeah, it was all like next goal, the winner, then the next goal. It was always the next goal after that, and you'd be there till midnight.
Yeah, until your team scored.
You won. Till you won, yeah. Yeah. So did you always have ambitions of being a footballer then, or was there some other career path that you wanted to follow when you were little?
No, well, I had two hobbies, two goals really, I guess. To play professional and to play at Wembley, which is obviously the old Wembley. So back then, obviously, it was finals only. You had to earn the right to play at Wembley. Even semi-finals were played at Old Trafford and Villa Park and things like that. So to play at Wembley, you basically had to be the best. So for me, it was always one to be a professional footballer first, and then just to go and play at Wembley would have been a dream.
Yeah.
Which I achieved both, so I'm very happy.
Yeah, happy days, eh?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. So, can you remember your very first football coach then, when you were young?
To be honest, we didn't really have coaches. It was like parents. Once the structure now, it wasn't everybody's got to have qualifications. It was parents of one of the kids that was playing that gave their time to do that sort of stuff. So I went through a few of them, and then as I was getting older, they become more ex-players and then ex-professionals as I was going through the sort of non-league route. But when I was younger, it was just literally a parent of somebody that probably played football when they were younger and just managed to take the team because nobody else would do it.
Yeah,
I guess it still happens now, but yeah, that's how it was then, I guess.
Yeah. So which team did you support when you were growing up then?
Oh, Forest.
Forest. Yeah.
I was a massive Nottingham Forest fan. I had the posters and everything. I just used to watch them, and obviously around my era, it was when they won the European Cup twice.
Yeah.
So 79, 80. But my dad was always a Notts County fan. So I always got Notts County kits for Christmas. So in the end, I sort of followed them as well, as I had no choice. But I was more of a Forest fan, but I got the Notts County kits instead.
Yeah. Obviously, that would have been a good time being a Nottingham Forest fan, because that was, like you say, they had the finals and they won the league in that time as well, didn't they?
Yeah, the Clough era. It was amazing. It was a brilliant time. Obviously, there's a small place winning a huge competition. You don't realise it at the time, but when you look back on it now, it's such a massive achievement for the sort of players that they had as well. For a small club like Nottingham Forest to go that far and then to do it again, it was massive and a great time in Notts. I was only 9 years old anyway, so for me it was just a game of football on the telly and didn't really mean as much as it would do nowadays, I guess.
Yeah. So can you remember the first game that you went to then?
That would have been a Forest game as well. So I used to play for. So they didn't used to have academies. I sound really old when I say that. They didn't used to have academies. I played for a team called JCS Garages on a Sunday, which were linked to Nottingham Forest. So we used to get tickets as being part of that team. So all our team used to go and watch some of the Forest games when we were younger. So that was sort of it then. So we didn't really go anywhere else. It was just getting free tickets and then going to Forest. Poor kids as we were growing up, such a rough neighbourhood and rough childhood that I had. No, but it was great, and to have the opportunity to go to the City Ground, especially with the team and a lot of friends then as well, it was brilliant. It's really good.
Yeah. So when did you sort of realise that football was what you were going to do then? Was it like a quite young age?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah. When people used to ask me what I was going to do, it was always going to be a footballer. Hard route, difficult route, long route to get to. But that was all I ever wanted to do. And I set my mind on that. And, and it took me till I was 24 to get there, but I got there in the end.
Yeah, you still lived the dream, didn't you? So,
yeah,
so you started off at Arnold Town. Is that like a local non-league team in your area then, is it, in Nottingham?
Yeah, that was the one where I left to go to Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
I was at a team that was higher up in the league called Eastwood Town, which was one of the bigger clubs around the town at the time. And then I sort of dropped down about 4 or 5 leagues, played for a team called Keyworth, which was another local team. And then I went to a team called Plessy. God, it sounds complicated, doesn't it? And then the manager left Plessy to go to Arnold, and he took me with him. And then from Arnold, obviously I had a few trials there and everywhere, and then ended up at Borough. Yeah.
So when did you first hear of the interest from Middlesbrough then?
To be honest with you, not until the day before I signed.
Yeah.
I had while I was at Arnold, I'd had a few trials. I had trials at Forest, Leeds, Notts County, and a few others. I never got a definitive answer out of any of them. It was always maybe we'll have you back, we'll have another look at you. And apparently Middlesbrough come and watch me 7 times, I believe. play for Arnold. And the last time they come and watched me on the Saturday, we won 10-1 and I scored 7. And I signed on the Monday. So I basically got a phone call on Sunday asking me what I was doing on the Monday, and then that was it. Went up, travelled up there and signed. And then on the way home, I got a call from Birmingham. Barry Fry wanted to sign me as well, but I'd obviously already put pen to paper with Middlesbrough. So it's as strange as it sounds, it does happen. But you wait for 24 years to turn pro, and 2 come on the same day. It's strange.
Yeah. So is that when you signed your first pro contract then, pretty much straight away with Middlesbrough, was that?
Yeah. The 2-year contract I got there, predominantly to play with the reserves, because they were building a reserve side.
Yeah.
They wanted everybody around, similar sort of age, similar sort of money, and to build a reserve side that could go and win the Ponties League, and then hopefully get some players to break through into the first team from there. But that was the idea at the time, and it was great. I was more than happy, and it was. But obviously, then the goal from there is just to try and break into the first team from there.
Yeah,
it was brilliant.
Yeah, so I take it the negotiations were fairly easy then when they were offered you like a professional contract.
Oh yeah, I'd have signed for whatever they offered me. To be honest with you, we have to talk, we had to discuss. But I'd have just walked in there and just said whatever, and signed there and then. But my manager from Arnold, Ian McCulloch, he came up with me, so he helped with the negotiations there, because he knows I would have just said yes to anything.
Yeah.
So he sorted it out for me. To be honest, I just sat there and smiling.
Yeah, so when you went to Middlesbrough, then you mentioned the reserves. I know they had players like Andy Campbell. I don't know if Alan Moore was there. There was players like that, younger players.
Yeah.
So you initially went into the reserves. I think you scored quite a lot of goals it was around about 2 seasons in total before you got the first team.
It was apparently somebody told me I thought I averaged a goal a game, but somebody said I averaged something like 1.45 goals a game or something in the 3 years I was there, first team and reserves. But it was there was people like, obviously Alan Miller was playing in and out the side at the time, Ben Roberts, Graham Kavanagh and Alan Moore and Curtis Fleming in and out, John Hendry in and out, Paul Wilkinson in and out, Jaime Moreno. I could go on. There was absolutely loads at the time, and Mickey Barron was there, Craig Liddell, and amazing squad. And we won that league as well. So that was a brilliant feeling. It's a big part of that as well. But I had a fantastic time, and you mentioned Andy Campbell. Obviously, he was coming through. He was probably about 16 then at the time coming through. So brilliant. I still keep in touch with. He's probably one of the only people I still keep in touch with more than anybody else. But it was a fantastic period. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, they had quite a good reserve side. That's it. Like you say, Andy Campbell. I know there was between yourself and Andy Campbell, two sort of like the strikers in the reserves. We were always big hopes for you to get into the first team. That was before we had like the likes of Ravanelli and them sort of players.
Yeah, it was difficult for us because when I first signed, we had about 7 strikers on the books when we were still at Ayrsham Park. And literally, I think me and Andy Campbell were right down at the bottom, obviously, around 7 and 8. And then by the time we moved to the Riverside, there was about 3 or 4 of us left, which was a great opportunity for myself and Andy as well. But then the formation changed and we went to playing 1 up front. So that made it even harder for us again to try and break into there, obviously in front of Rav and then Mikkel Beck and Jan Fjordhoff as well. So it got a little bit harder again with only the 1 striker up the top there. But we did what we did and we tried as best to try and break in as much as we could.
Yeah. So you say obviously from there you went on to make your first team debut. I think. Can you remember who your first team debut was against?
It was. I played 20 minutes the last game of the season at Tranmere away. So that was my first appearance. The season we won the. What is it? It was Division 1 then, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was before the Championship, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So it was the season we won that. So it was basically that was my first season. 94, 95 when I first signed. So I broke into the first team by the end of that season. So I signed Christmas Eve, I think, just before Christmas Eve. End of the season, I made my debut at Tranmere. So I was buzzing in for pre-season, and then sort of took a step backwards a little bit.
Yeah. Did Viv Anderson, or I'm sure Brian Robson, one of them, or maybe both of them played in that game? I think, was that a draw?
Yeah, I think Jan scored. We drew 1-1. I think you're right. I think both Viv and Robbo both played in that one. I know we was getting down to the bare bones again. So they both threw a shirt on and pulled the boots out.
Yeah, and obviously you mentioned there, so we got promoted that season, and you made your full debut. Was that against Sheffield Wednesday?
Sheffield Wednesday, at home.
Didn't you actually score in that game as well?
Yeah, 1 assist and a goal. So I'm claiming the assist as well. So Jan scored twice, and I scored the other one. We 3-1 it was.
3-1, yeah.
Which was a great game live on Sky as well, which was fantastic. So all the family were watching that as well, which was brilliant.
Yes.
In fact, Andy Campbell made his debut as well, same day.
Yeah, I remember it actually, yeah. Yeah, so what can you remember about the day then and the build-up, and obviously when you found out you were going to be starting the game?
Well, we trained all week as you do, and it was the team was never mentioned. We normally name the team on the day, so I wasn't really aware, but I think some were, because I was at I can't remember the name of there's a leisure centre that was quite close to the ground. We was in there, and I was basically sat in a jacuzzi chilling after training, and Nick Barmby came in. I think Nick Barmby came in, and he just said to me, "What are you doing in here?" So I'm chilling after training, relaxing. Why? He says, "You got a game tomorrow," and I went, "No, I haven't," because obviously, not been playing, not been told anything, and then apparently he knew. He knew before I knew that I was playing. So I had to get out, and I still didn't know for definite, but I had to prepare like I was going to play. So it was a very little build up to it, to be honest with you. It was, but it was great, and then it just allowed me to go out there and do what I do and play football and just go and enjoy it.
Yeah, so obviously that was quite a start into bigger and better things for Middlesbrough, like the likes of Ravanelli and players like that came in. What was it like to be in the squad with players like that and like Janino or Emerson?
Janino was, as everybody knows, he was world class and a nice guy that went with it. He was a genuine fella. He still is now. Last time I saw him, I don't think he'll ever change. I think the people, you are who you are.
Yeah.
And he was fantastic. He was always smiling. He was always happy. Emerson, same nice, genuine guy. I know he had his few problems here, there, and everywhere, homesickness and all that sort of stuff, but he was brilliant. In training, absolute beast. It was a unit, absolute, built like a unit. But he was a funny guy as well. So to have them sort of people in that dressing room. People always talked about there was a bit of a split between foreigners and English players, but that's a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
Never was. There was, you talk who you talk to, you mix who you mix with, and I think people on the outside just assume that, you've got your English lads over here and you've got your foreign lads over here and there's a problem here. There was never any problems in our dressing room. It was all good. It was all fine. But to see them in training and the way they looked after themselves and the way they approach training compared to how we would do being from England and the way we've always done things was it was a culture shock, but it was good for us.
Yeah.
To have a different way of approaching training and trying different things and picking up new things. For me as a young player, and Andy Campbell as well, as young players, we learn loads, absolutely loads. Probably harder for some of the older players. Your likes of Nigel Pearson, who were a lot older at the time.
Yeah.
But for myself, being a younger player, it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and it helped me. It literally changed my game. Playing with people like that, which now allows me to play still at 49, which is good. I don't have to run around so much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you've played a few games. You played quite a few cup games for Middlesbrough. I think you scored against Barnet in the League Cup. Did you hope to get more more sort of cup games in particular?
I just wanted to play. You know, it didn't matter to me whether it was cup games, league games. Obviously, we all want to be first team regulars, but the players that the players that we had at the time, it's always going to be hard to get them out or to replace them, if you like, especially as younger players. And I'm, you know, I don't know whether this would enter, you know, a manager's thoughts, but it might enter the chairman's thoughts that when players are on ridiculous money, and then you've got a couple of kids instead playing and players on stupid money sitting on the bench, it'd probably not go down too well. Yeah. But my opinion is, you know, that as a striker, if I'm scoring goals and somebody's not scoring goals, then I should be playing. That was always my view. But, you know, I don't have any grudges. I was never upset with anybody about it. I just wanted to play football, to be honest. It was a hobby for me. You know, to get paid for a hobby is an amazing thing. And I just wanted to play as much as possible. So, yeah, I wanted to play. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's a manager's decision and he picks the team. So, you know, and you accept it and it was fine.
Yeah, I think, like you say, even like back in them days, the fans just wanted to see that as well. They wanted to see those players who were banging the goals in or doing well in the games. They didn't want to always just see the players who pits cost 7 million, 20 million pound, whatever, just for the sake of them playing if they were playing a bag of rubbish, to be honest. So, yeah, you always want to play the farm players.
It was like I say, it was difficult. You know, I played. Actually, when I made my debut, I'd scored a lot of goals that season, so I was always banging on the gaffer's door. You know, I'd gone to see him 2-3 times a week. He must have been fed up with me, to be fair. But it was the only way I could do it. I couldn't think of any other way. I did what I did in training. I trained well. I played well. I scored goals in the reserves. And all you can do is go and ask if I'm going to get a game, if I'm going to start, if I'm going to get some minutes. And when you get a lot of, you're in my plans, which is great. I have to believe him. But then there's, you know, when you're battling relegation or you're way down the league, I can get it. You know, I'm a coach myself, so I totally understand. Probably then I didn't as much. You know, I was never bitter or anything like that, but I just, like I said, I just wanted to play football and I couldn't understand why I wasn't playing enough. But I still had a fantastic time and I wouldn't change it for anything for the world.
Yeah, them were the days when players did just want to play. It wasn't always about the pay packet and, you know, getting the name and lights on the TV and things. That they just wanted to play football.
Definitely.
Yeah, so you played a few games like we mentioned in the cup there. You were involved in the FA Cup semi-final. I think, did you come in against Chesterfield?
Yeah.
For a couple of minutes, yeah.
Yeah. Again, I was probably in the gaffer's ear there as well. They're like, get me on, I'll score goals. But yeah, I probably got about 5 minutes at the end. I just wanted to get on and play. You know, I've always had, whenever I've played, I've always had that sort of feeling whether I'm going to score or how many I'm going to score. It doesn't always pay off, but there's just certain games where you just, you know, one chance, one goal is going to come. And I always had that belief in myself that if I got one clear opportunity, I'd put it away. So I was quite good at that. But sometimes it's getting that opportunity. But, you know, when you're sitting there from the sideline and opportunities are coming and they're not going, and people aren't putting them in, then I get frustrated on the bench knowing that. As most players would, I guess, you sit there going, I'd have scored that. Yeah, but I did have that belief. And, you know, when you're on form as well as a striker, it doesn't matter. You could close your eyes and kick the ball. You could face the wrong way and it end up in the net. It's just one of those things that, you know you're going to score. And I was sitting there just thinking to myself, just get me on. I know I'll score a goal. But, yeah, 5 minutes at the end, it's never enough. But still got on the pitch, I guess. Could look at it that way. Take the positives out of it, I guess.
Yeah, so was that the replay then, the 3-0 victory replay? Or was that the first game? So we do 3-0, I think, was it, the semi-final?
Yeah, it was 3-0 in the first one. I was on the bench for that one. I don't remember getting on in that one. If I did, it was not memorable. But definitely got on in the second one. I actually wanted to start that one, but he kept the same team, and we managed to get the 3-0. But yeah, I got some minutes at the end of that one. I just wanted to play the full game in that one, or at least start it. But again, it's Gaffer's choice. It's his decision. He's the man in charge, and you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, totally. So from there, you moved on to Northampton. I think it was first on loan, wasn't it? You played, and then you went on loan, and then you went on a permanent transfer.
Yeah. So we we got relegated. We was playing in the Championship, and we had Ipswich away, and we used to fly down to the big games, to the games furthest away, like Ipswich. So we was flying there. So I was at the airport, and the gaffer phoned me up and asked me if I wanted to go on loan to Notts County. So Sam Allardyce was in charge then. So I said yeah, because obviously it was back in Nottingham. It was Notts County with Dad's team. I went back to the ground to pick my gear up. One of the scouts asked me if I'd rather go to Northampton as well, who were in the league above. It was in a higher league. So I ended up going there instead on loan, which then turned into a permanent move. But I didn't want to go, but I did enjoy it at Northampton. I loved it there as well. I had a great time there. It's a bit of a culture shock from going from the Premiership and everything that Middlesbrough had to Northampton in League One at the time, or Division Two. I can't remember what they call them now.
Yeah.
But then to go there, and with being a small club, it was a bit of a culture shock. You get used to what you get used to, and at Middlesbrough we got everything. I only used to carry a wash bag around with me at the time. All my kit and everything was always there. And I get to Northampton, I had to go and buy a sports bag and carry my own kit and wash my own kit. It was a bit of a culture shock, which sounds strange now coming from non-league, but when you spend 3 years of having everything handed on the plate, you kind of forget.
That's it. It's like these footballers now, when they're sort of retired, they'll be like, well, they wonder what to do with themselves, will they?
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. I mean, I felt like a trialist the first week I was down at Northampton. I kept taking my training kit off and leaving it on the side there to be washed. But I kept coming in the morning. I never had any training kit. I had to go and see the kit man every day for a week before he told me I had to take it home and wash it myself.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, right, okay. I keep having different training kit every day.
Sorry, sorry. I was going to say, who was the manager who took you down there then?
Ian Atkins.
Ian Atkins.
Yeah. Yeah, they just got promoted from League 3, League 2, Division 3. What was it? I can't remember that.
They've changed that, haven't they? Like back in the day, it was Premier League, then it was Division 1, 2 and 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, so they got promotion from Division 3 to 2 through the playoffs, and they were in the playoffs positions when I went there as well. So we made the playoff final that year as well, but unfortunately we lost in that one.
Yeah, I remember a game as well. You played, you scored twice, didn't you, against West Ham?
Yes.
In one of the cup games.
Yeah, we had. We had West Ham. Harry Redknapp was in charge then, so he bought his full squad down, bought the full team down. So they had Shaka Hislop in goal, Razor Ruddock was playing, Ian Wright, John Hartson, Frank Lampard. They brought everybody down. They had the full squad out, full team out. We beat them 2-0 at our place. But then it was they had the second leg at Upton Park, and we lost that 1-0. So yeah, we still went through, got Tottenham in the next round, and then lost to them. But yeah, it was a great period, really great period. I managed to score the 2 goals at beat them at our place, which was good. I think Gordon McQueen might have been doing the commentary on because that was live on Sky. I think he was doing the commentary on that one. So I scored a header, and apparently he didn't even know I could head the ball. Spent 3 years with him. He didn't even know I could head it. A lot of cheers.
Yeah, I'm just going to play a little clip here from that actual game. I think it was the highlights of that game. Yeah, it was good header that as well. I was just watching it there. Obviously, the first goal, I don't know if you remember the first goal. It was a bit of a mix-up in defence, wasn't it? I think it hit off the post, then you got a tap in.
All about being in the right place. It's just let everybody kick the ball off each other, and then it hit the post, and then I smashed it off Shaka's midsection from about a yard in, just hit it as hard as I could, which managed to go in. And then the second one was the header, so I jumped Paul Wilkinson, which was no mean feat. He was about 6'6". So yeah, he came to us for that season actually.
Yeah, yeah, he was good in the air as well, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, I managed to beat him to that one, so which was good.
Yeah, so obviously that was a good game for you. So what do you remember about the sort of the build up to that game then, the first leg where you obviously got Premier League West Ham coming to town with being on TV as well?
Yeah, it was for us. We were classed as a long ball team all the way building up to that. It's all that got mentioned. You know that they would beat us. We wouldn't be able to use the long ball against them because they had such a big team with the likes of Pearson and Ruddock at the back, and they were huge. But actually, we were surprised when we played football, which we could. We got it down and we passed it, and it worked for us. So it was all about playing through the thirds, getting the ball out wide, and getting balls in the box for us, which we managed to do, and we beat them because we had pace in the side. We had Ali Gibb down the right, myself up the top there, Wilco that was always going to get in and around there and go and compete with the big guys as he's done his entire career. We had pace in the side and we had a very strong defence. So it worked really well for us. We had energy and we had pace and we had our own sort of strengths. We played completely different. So that was our whole sort of build up to the game is to sort of catch them off guard and play completely different to what they think we play. Although we were classed as a long ball, I'd say we were a direct team rather than a long ball team. But it worked for us. We managed to get the 2 goals, take it to the second leg. And then it was just a case of can we hold on or try and sneak another one, which we didn't. I had one cleared off the line, which I should have scored. But, we still went through and managed to go through 2-1. So it was a great game, great little period that was.
Yeah, so you got the job done. So from Northampton, I mean, you had a couple of years there. You went on to Hartlepool. How did the move come to Hartlepool? How did that come about?
Yeah, it just sort of, it was conversations that were going and rumours, I guess, and I shouldn't have listened to rumours, but there was rumours that there were other strikers coming in, which already had been, and contracts weren't going to get renewed. And I knew, I heard that Hartlepool were interested. It was a deadline day thing that happened in the end. But again, it was another move I didn't really want. But sometimes these things happen and you end up going. So yeah, I ended up at Hartlepool and they were in Division 3 and battling relegation in Division 3. But again, a great time. I was scoring goals. I was playing well. And it all come down in the end to us and Scarborough. And I scored the 2 goals that knocked Scarborough, basically put Scarborough down and kept us up, which was good. It was a good period. But I guess, unfortunately for me, I was still living in Nottingham then, so I was travelling. So it didn't do my back any favours. I was spending too much time in the car and sort of went downhill a little bit from there because of the amount of travelling and the injuries I was picking up. It was just one of those things. I don't think I was never going to move back up that way, having moved back to Nottingham with the kids and the wife and stuff. So I travelled. Just didn't do me any favours, to be honest with you, even if I stayed over a couple of days. It's a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, it's not exactly it's 20 minutes down the road, is it? It's a bit of a trek to get to there.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing about it is there was 4 of us in the car, but I had to drive to Doncaster, which is about an hour away, and then pick up a couple of lads, and then we drive up to Wetherby, pick up somebody else, and then drive up to Hartlepool. But that's 2 hours, just over 2 hours, I guess, 2.5 hours every day. It was a bit of a nightmare. I wasn't driving every time. I was still sat in the car every day. But their pre-season was the worst because we trained at Peterlee, which was obviously about another half hour past Hartlepool. So it was literally about 6 hours in the car plus the double training sessions we were doing. I was in bits. I was in agony all the time. My back, my legs, everything. Hamstrings were going a lot. I was picking up too many stupid injuries, which didn't do me many favours.
Yeah, and then sort of from there you had a couple of spells there. I think you went to Cheltenham on loan initially, then a couple of spells back in and then on league after that.
Yeah, I went to Cheltenham. I had a great time. I think I played 5 games, scored 3 goals, 2 man of matches. Had a fantastic time. They wanted me to stay for another loan, but I found out a few years later the chairman actually wanted me to stay permanently and sign me, but he never told me. The manager just asked me to come back for another month's loan, which I declined.
Yeah.
It was more of a case of I would stay, but I didn't want to constantly be on loan elsewhere. I wanted to pretty much put down roots, if you like, either be at one place or not. So I went back to Hartlepool. But from there, I went to Shrewsbury first. I spent a couple of years at Shrewsbury, and then that sort of didn't work out so well. And then back into actually, I went to Dundalk after that, and then I went to Airdrie for a very, very short spell. So they didn't work out either. I think Airdrie was in receivership at the time, yeah. And Dundalk was a part-time team in Ireland, but literally on the border of Northern Ireland. So too much travelling, and and then back into non-league really.
Yeah, you went back to have a bit of a spell at Arnold Town again, didn't you? Scored a couple of goals there again.
Yeah, I sort of went around the houses a bit. I went to Kings Lane, I went to Ilkeston, I went to Forest Green, and I sort of ended up. I actually didn't. I packed up playing. It was just I got to the stage where I was just wasn't enjoying it anymore, so I packed up. Yeah. And then I got talked into going back to Arnold. Being as I started there, I sort of went back, scored a few goals there, and ended up getting the manager's job, and managed them for a season or 2. Which was good fun. I enjoyed that. So we did do 2, but I was playing manager. But then I sort of enjoyed playing again when I was playing there, which was great. So, just sort of full circle, really. It's the only reason I went back, just to finish it off.
Yeah, did you go there with Martin Carruthers, the ex-Villa player? Right. You did, yeah.
Yeah, so me and Gandhi went there, and we spent a couple of seasons playing, and then, like I say, we managed the team for a spell. But it's a small club, no money. Everybody wants money. Best players want money, and there was no money at Arnold. It was one of them. So we had to coach, which was great, and we coached them. We got club records and stuff like that, and won a few things. So did really well. But I, to be honest, I just enjoyed playing. So I carried on playing for a bit, and then coaching on the sideline.
Yeah. So what would you say, like, of your career, what would you say is the most memorable game that you've watched as a fan of a particular club, or maybe even just as a neutral?
I think one of the best games I've ever watched would be, it would have been the Euros, one of the Euro games with Holland and Russia, and Van Basten's goal.
Yeah.
Because Van Basten, he was always my favourite player growing up. I thought he was an amazing player. And to see that game and to see how he performed throughout the tournament, and then to tap it off with that goal as well, was just amazing strike. Probably the best goal I've ever seen. Probably one of the best games I've seen as well. So it was definitely one of my favourite games to watch.
Yeah, was that great volley you scored? I think, was it Euro 88, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant goal.
Yeah, unreal.
Yeah, you can't teach that sort of skill, can you, really?
Not at all. No, it was just a shame as a fantastic player that, too many injuries and cut his career short. But what a player, and what a strike. Unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. So was he always the team that you dreamt of playing for then, sort of growing up?
I probably always wanted to play Forest, to be honest, as a Forest fan. I'd have loved to play for them. I had a trial there growing up. I was 21 actually when I had a trial at Forest. Frank Clark was the manager, and obviously Frank Clark was part of the European Cup winners. So I knew him. I knew him as in I knew Frank Clark, but I didn't know Frank Clark. but I spent a week there. They used to get week-long trials, so it was like 4 training sessions and 1 reserve game. So I trained with the first team and the reserves, and played a reserve game on the Wednesday. Scored once, I think. Yeah, scored once in that game in there. But Frank didn't take the offer. He was unsure, he says. I've seen him since, and he does regret it, so I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah, you can take that one with you.
Yeah. So he says we all make mistakes. But no, I'd have loved to have played for Forest, I guess, because obviously I was a Forest fan, so that would have been nice, and obviously being my hometown as well. I think it's always nice, when I used to speak to Andy Campbell about him being a Borough lad and playing for Middlesbrough, and that the passion that he still has now, talking about his club and anything that happens, whether it's signings or games or anything like that, he still has that passion for it because obviously it's his hometown club.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've never experienced that. For me, Middlesbrough, fantastic. Loved it up there. Loved my time up there. Loved living up there. But it's not my hometown club. Same as Northampton, another place. They're not my hometown club, and yeah, that would have been special. But it is what it is. You got to go somewhere and you play somewhere, and I had a fantastic career, and I enjoyed every minute of it. But yeah, Forest would have been a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned there some of the clubs you played for. You played with some good strikers. Who would you say was your favourite strike partner?
I'd probably have to say Andy Campbell, because he'd kill me if I don't. But no, I used to really enjoy playing with Andy because, we were two quick players at that time. He says he learned off me. I don't know what he learned off me. He said he learned his movement, speed of thought type thing. I'll accept that. So I'd probably have to say, yeah, I did really enjoy playing with Andy Campbell. He was, he was a great striker, and he was rapid as well. He was quick as well, and yeah, I really enjoyed playing with him there. But I mean, some of the games I played, I used to enjoy playing with the likes of Paul Wilkinson, just purely because he'd get bashed around for me, which was great. He'd go win the headers, he'd hold the ball up, and he just allowed me to run forward, which was brilliant. And I didn't have to do that, and I didn't get kicked in the back of the legs or kicked anywhere like that. So playing with somebody like Wilco was brilliant as well. But yeah, once my game started to change, playing with the likes of Andy, and that way we had to play down on the floor more rather than having the balls up here all the time. It was much better, and I really enjoyed playing with him.
Yeah, Wilco was old school, wasn't he? One of them he'd get bashed about all game, but he'd still get the flip downs and things like that for you to run onto.
That was it. It was great for me. I just used to have to run forward and score, and then the game changes, and you got to play with your back to goal, and you got to hold the ball up, and you got to link everybody in with the game, and it gets a little bit harder. But to still do that and score goals, it was difficult, especially when you had the likes of Wilco that would do that for you and just allow you to score the goals, which was great.
Yeah.
But everything changes.
Absolutely. So would you say it was the player that you ever played with who you knew would make it at the top, like be a really great player?
Difficult because, to be honest with you, probably Tommy Miller. I played Tommy Miller at Hartlepool. Fantastic midfielder, always had a lot of potential. I think he went onwards and upwards. I think he was at Wigan at one spell. Might even have gone I'm not sure if he went to Celtic or somewhere. But he started at Hartlepool, and he did have potential, and he ended up having a fantastic career. Couldn't tell you which clubs. I think he had a couple. Probably not as many as me, but he had a few.
Yeah, I know he had a good spell at Ipswich, a couple of spells there. I mean, I've spoken to him.
Right.
I know he was a guest of mine as well. Yeah, he had a good spell at Ipswich playing in European football and things like that. So
fantastic player.
Yeah,
fantastic player. And you could always see it. We was fortunate enough at Hartlepool to play with Peter Beardsley. So I think he picked up quite a lot of bids in midfield there, which helped his career going forward. But he was definitely a great player. And again, Andy Campbell, I thought he'd have at Cardiff. I know he got the winning goal and stuff at Cardiff. But I also know he had a falling out there and probably didn't help his career much.
Yeah,
but definitely had potential to go probably higher and further and better. It was very, very good. Still good now, to be fair.
I know, yeah. But he's got the manager's job now. He's managing back at Spennymoor Town these days.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
oh, wow.
he's got the
I've
job
not
there.
spoken
Yeah,
to him for a few weeks. Give him a call. No, he was another one, another good player. You know, lots of ability, and you know, like I say, playing with some of the players we played with and training with them. You know, you pick up so many things. We picked up loads in training, even off Rav. You know, for all of his problems when he first came, he was amazing. For all the issues that he might have had going forward, or he did have going forward when he first came, he was brilliant, and he helped our game. We picked up quite a lot off Rav, in finishing wise, off the back of him. I don't smash the ball. I place the ball, and I pick that up off him. So I learned a lot, and I know Andy did as well.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. Yeah, obviously learning that someone like that was played at the top of his game.
Yeah, yeah, it was a great player. You know, we watched him on, was it the Italian show we used to watch, Gazzetta.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. It was on the Italian. It used to be on a Channel 4, didn't it, back in the day?
That's the one. Yeah, we literally watched that on the Friday, and then he came to us on the Monday.
Yeah,
I think he just won the European Cup with Juventus or something like that, and then he signed for us on the Monday. It was,
he scored in the final as well, didn't he? He scored in the final of the
Yeah.
European Cup, and then next thing he's at Middlesbrough. Bit of a shock.
I know, strange. I've been watching him on telly as well, and then there he was.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really excited.
Yeah. So next question, I'll just say. So who, if anyone, would you love to have played with, either in your era or in the current era?
Difficult. To be honest with you, I would have loved to play with David Beckham, just for his crossing.
Yeah, get on the end of them crosses.
You know, I thrive off balls in the box, and to have someone like that delivering balls to you, you know, is no wonder Andy Cole and Dwight York scored for fun.
Yeah.
With somebody delivering balls in the box like that, I'd have loved to have been on the same pitch. Well, I was on the same pitch with him, but opposite sides. But
yeah,
I'd have loved to have been on the same team just to get on the end of some of them crosses. As I don't think you can complain if a quality cross comes in the box. If you're not scoring it, there's only one person that can moan, and that would be Bex. So someone like him would have been fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. So who in the modern game would you say is more likely like yourself, or with similar attributes and that sort of thing, determination, whatever it is?
I don't know. I really don't. It's I suppose the way I look at strikers nowadays, everybody wants to score worldy goals. Me, I was happy scoring goals off the post, off tap-ins in the 6-yard box.
Yeah.
He's a different level, and he's still playing now. But Cavani's movement and the desire to get on the end of balls now, that's how I see myself, or how I used to see myself, with the sort of movement, and just to try and get on the end of everything in that 6-yard box or 18-yard box. You know, might not do a great deal outside the 18-yard box work rate, but desire inside the 18-yard box to be the one to get on the end of the ball. I'd probably look at someone like Cavani, you know, but
yeah,
he's the next level from me. he's definitely the next level from me, and two.
Yeah. So who would you say, if anyone, like, would you love to play with, like, alongside, maybe in the past, or sort of in this era now? Is there any particular strike partner you'd love to have played with?
Oh, I'd have to be Van Basten.
Yeah.
Just because he was a hero. And I'd love to play with, you know, you want to play with your heroes. And I used to think he was so good heading. I think he used to have everything, you know, left foot, right foot, head in, hold the ball up, dribble, you know, score goals, tap-ins, worldies. I'd have loved to just been on the pitch with him, or I'd love to meet him. Yeah. But to play with him would have been a dream. You know, it was absolutely, for me, I think one of the best strikers I've ever seen. Probably would have been better than most had he had a longer career. You know, he didn't have a bad career. you know, the medals and the trophies and leagues that he won in the short space that he was playing. But yeah, I'd have loved to have played with Van Basten. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, football was a bit different back in sort of your day, but now more than ever, nutrition and fitness and looking after yourself is better the sort of big part of the game, isn't it? And looking after your physical and mental well-being. Was there any particular sort of training plan or nutritional, any sort of thing that you used to follow back in your day?
Yeah, it was fairly new for us, and it was like, it feels like it had just started. You know, when we went to the Riverside, we had a cafe, we had a restaurant. We started eating. We started eating nutritional food. You know, we was on. I was eating my pre-match meal. I still remember it now. It was boiled chicken and pasta, which for someone like me who's you know, mum comes from Jamaica, who loves the spice.
Yeah.
To have white chicken and white pasta on a plate, it's just boring. You know, I understand the point of it. I just couldn't understand there was no taste to it. You know, I asked for some like sauce, you know, like red sauce, tomato sauce, bolognese sauce, that sort of thing for it. Basically got told by the chef, no, not allowed it, too many calories, too fat. So I basically baked it in pepper instead, just so I could taste it. But yeah, so we started with all of that, and then it was, you know, the breakfast, what we could have and what we couldn't have. We was having tea and toast a couple of hours before kickoffs, you know, toast and marmalade and things like that. You know, it was all measured, it was all monitored. A little bit different for Clayton Blackmore, who was coming to the end of his career. He was still eating full fry up for breakfast, steak and chips for lunch, you know, while we were all on the pasta and everything like that. So it was still fairly new then. But I guess I think Rav might have had a bit of an influence on the sort of food that we was eating when he first come to the club. So it was fairly new. Shock to some of the older players. Shock to say some of the older players. It was a shock to me, you know. But I get it. I understand it. Just didn't want it. It's all right when you're telling somebody else, but when you've got to have it yourself, it's not the best.
Yeah,
I think it's come a long way since just then.
Yeah, definitely. There's all like sports psychologists and nutritionists and all this these days, isn't it? Totally different ball game.
Definitely.
Yeah, and also on the physical and mental side of things, it's really important to be at your best and give yourself the best chance of success. Is there any sort of tips or advice that you could give like youngsters coming up these days? I mean, it's a different game these days, isn't it? But is there any advice you could give?
I mean, look, for me, I've tried, I suppose since I've got older, you know, I've tried a lot of different things, and meditation sounds like a great way. I've tried it a couple of times. I found it really helpful. But what I used to do was I just used to go and find a spot in the changing room and just, you know, whether I was listening to music, I just get my head in the right space, you know, and just concentrate on my own game. So I used to put headphones in, sit in the corner, and just relax. And I think that's it's just a way to get away from the noise and any other thoughts, and just to concentrate on your own game. And again, for me, I always wanted to not visualize, although somebody did tell me once to try and visualize yourself scoring. I always believed in myself anyway that I would score, so I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But that was another tip that somebody told me once about visualizing yourself scoring a winning goal, visualizing yourself scoring this, that, and the other. But for me, I just always had a strong belief in my own ability anyway. But you've got to be in the right headspace to do that.
Yeah,
never went out with any negative thoughts, always positive, and always having a big belief in me and my own game. And that was sort of my way at the time, without any apps or tools or anything like that. It was just something I did myself. But I've always classed myself as being fairly mentally tough anyway. I suppose it's my own upbringing they've got me in that sort of headspace and trying to keep myself, calm and relaxed before a game. So I never got too pumped up. I have done only once, got fired up for a game once, and that was awful. So I've never done it again since. So it's always just trying to find a calm corner, really. Even when we had some crazy managers that I've played with, that they try and pump you up, they blasting out rock and roll and heavy metal in the change rooms and getting you to run up and down on the spot, screaming out the top of your voice like Braveheart. Me, I'd go in the shower or in the bathroom and just go and chill out on my own and get my head right for it, because that was my way. I didn't need to do somebody else's way. And I think that's the thing you've got to be. Sometimes you've got to do your own thing and stand apart from people and not follow the crowd. That was never my way of standing, running up and down on the spot, screaming at the top of my lungs. I just felt stupid, so I never did it. It was just getting my head straight and knowing what I needed to do in the game to be the best that I could be.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great advice, that. And just as we sort of come to the end now, I always like to finish on a bit of a light-hearted note with a few sort of quick questions. So
Okay.
Go on to the next. So the first question. So pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No.
Yeah.
100% no.
Yeah, I think my wife will say the same, but I say opposite to that. So, but that's just me. So tea bag in milk. Sorry, tea in. Do you put the tea bag in the tea first, or do you put the milk in?
Milk in first.
Right, that's opposite to me again. Yeah. So on the next one, toilet roll on the hole. Did you have it over or under?
Over.
Over. Yeah. Favorite meat with your meal, chicken or turkey?
Chicken.
Yeah, with a bit of spice, obviously.
Oh, definitely. It never put me off.
Yeah. Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi?
I like Ronaldo.
Yeah. And match of the day or I'm a Celebrity?
Oh, match of the day.
Yeah, definitely. Not according to my wife in my house, but match of the day every day of the week, if I could.
Definitely.
Yeah. And the final question: if you had the opportunity to go back in time when you were playing and have the chance of doing either changing one of the things, having a longer playing career and making more appearances, or being more successful in terms of reaching finals and winning trophies, but having the short career, which one would you choose?
God, probably the longer career.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just again loved playing football. Trophies are a byproduct of that, anyways. But for me, yeah, just playing. That's all I ever wanted to do was just play football. Trophies are nice, but yeah, definitely would prefer a longer career.
Yeah, it's nice to play like back in sort of your era. Everyone just wants to play, don't they? They just want to play football.
Yeah, oh, definitely. It's non-stop as much as possible.
Yeah. So I'd just like to say thank you for being on the show today. I really appreciate your time. Obviously, it was great to hear your story about your career and insight what it's like to be a professional footballer and someone who's played at the top level. So all the best, Chris. Thank you very much for today. And
my pleasure.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, mate. All the best.
All right. Cheers then.